Sometimes you put away something in the hopes of bringing it back when a brighter day comes. But that day never really comes, and that thing just gathers dust and becomes a lonely and faded memory until you literally have to unearth it and bring it back. And I think that's what's also known as pile of shame, which I've never really been a fan of. I mean, who is? But I guess what I'm trying to say is that today we're gonna face some of those demons and hopefully inspire someone to do the same and do that one project that has been in your backlog for so long that you forgot it even existed. So today I want to share with you this mission that I'm calling Morok. Killzone Morok. Some of you might know this is an old Killzone Terrain set. I mean, old is kind of relative, right? But it's fairly old. But regardless, I think it's a beautiful terrain set. I think it's really versatile. Some people don't like it. They think like that the platforms it's a little too big, especially for kill team games. But for me, I like it. I think it's chunky. It has personality. You put it in the center, and it's there. It's unavoidable. It's like welcome to the green dark future model. Anyways, you get the idea. Not only that, but also the terrain. It's fairly modular. I mean, you have an antenna, you have a tower, you have a second sort of rectangular terrain piece. It has like a disposable roof. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why it gets so much hate. I get it. I mean, maybe for a kill team game, it's not as versatile, it's not as practical. But I disagree. I think it has a lot of replayability. But hey, to each its own. I found the assembly process also fairly straightforward. I mean, unlike the Into the Dark terrain, it's such a hustle. This one, it's nice. It's smooth. Everything falls into place. I'm working on the antenna, which I recommend that you don't do the top part, because that way you can rotate the antenna and also change its profile, so you can have the vertical antenna or the horizontal antenna, in case you want to place it on top of the platform, or if you want to place different miniatures around it, you can have it one way or another. Thing happens with the roof of the second terrain piece. Maybe you want to get committed with the uniform roof, or the one that's damaged, but I prefer to leave it the two options open, especially because you don't really have to glue it. If you just place it on top and you're not gonna move the terrain around, it's pretty sturdy. I always tend to keep my options open. Sometimes it's not practical, but whenever it's practical, here, it's always good to kind of sand the terrain here and there for that added texture. So it helps with the paint. I guess it just depends your degree of tolerance and patience, how much sanding you want to give to the terrain, because it's not super needed, but it's just those layers of details that at the end add up and bring the piece to a slightly higher level of detail that you might appreciate. Here, the plastic cement, it's highly recommended, because some of those seam lines are not really that hermetic, so the melting of the plastic really helps to bring the piece together into one cohesive whole. Otherwise, it's a little, Games Workshop terrain. What can I tell you? It's good. It's good. It's not perfect. It's good. But you have to bring that good to better as much as you can. Most of the time, it's a bit of a bitch, but sometimes it's part of the fun. I don't know if you guys have ever, how do you call it, tuned a drum, like a drum set, or like a single drum, like a kick drum. It's funny because as you tune it, you have to tighten the screws or the nails, I don't know how you call them, and they go around the diameter of the drum, and you have to do it in sort of a star pattern. You can't just go like from left to right, like clockwise or counterclockwise. Anyways, that's how doing the platform felt a little bit. Like you had to go one side and then the other, you know. I guess, I mean, you could have done it either way, but it felt a little more, balanced and easier to manipulate the piece, going from one side and then left and then right and then one corner and then the opposite corner and so on. That's my little take. Here I'm also working on the, what do you call them? The barricades, I guess. And adding a little bit of that almighty Mr. Surfacer that just adds a little bit of texture here and there, and then going on the spikes on the top and just messing them up a little bit with the pliers, trying to add more texture and just a feel of damaged and bullet holes and all sorts of shrapnel, drenching the metal of the barricades, that sort of thing. Actually, I like the way the texture looks before the paint, because once you add the paint, the texture kind of gets a little bit lost, and then you have to bring it back again with more paint, right? I mean, yeah, like once you prime it, it just becomes uniform. But then also I thought about adding the texture after the primer, and then I decided against that, because then having to like chase all the texture away, or like the color of the texture, because the texture is nice, but the color of the paste wasn't really gonna do it for this build. So yeah, I just thought it was better to work first with the texture, then the primer, and then just bring the texture back here and there as it was needed. And yeah, here, I like this piece because of the detachable roof. I thought about also just gluing the roof, like just going for one set of tiles over the other one. But I mean, the piece of the roof are really stable unless you shake the piece of the terrain. So I thought, maybe just leave the two choices open here. Once again, for the main platform, this sort of gas containers, like cylindrical containers, were perhaps the part of the terrain where I was most troubled, because I tried to add a lot of texture, and then sometimes when you go overboard with the texture, things just look messy and they're just not easy to read, and then you try to like fix it, and then you make it worse, and then you try to fix it some more, and it's a little worse, and then you try to fix it a little bit more, and then you're like, okay, it's a little bit better now, I guess. But I am getting ahead of myself. This surface primer right here, I don't know if I've talked about it before, but the tone is just beautiful. And it's a great alternative if you just get bored of working with black primer or white primer. And also the gray primer, for me it's a little bit troubling sometimes, because it gets confused with the gray of the plastic, and it's hard to tell like where the piece has been primed already, or it's just original plastic. So I don't think I'll ever. I'm not a big fan of gray. At least working with miniatures that are gray, right? Maybe if you work with resin, it's a different color. Anyways, yeah, here as you can see, this tone is just nice. Like it's earthy. It has great coverage. It looks just smooth. It's great. Also, for this build that I was planning on adding some ochre tones and like rusty effects. It's just great. I just can't recommend it enough. And also, I gotta admit that this is the one thing in which I'm most comfortable using the airbrush, because for most of the things I'm still learning. But for priming, man, just go at it. Thin the primer enough so it won't clog, and you're good to go. And it's just it's just smooth. It's like therapeutical. So for this piece right here, I don't know if you're able to tell, the antenna is not glued, and I kept the top parts just separated, and I just added some magnets, which work fairly well. And that's because the base, you're able to rotate the top part from the base. So it's always I always like to keep things as dynamic and like functional as possible, when it's possible and when it's practical too. For example, here for this tower, like comms tower, I guess, I also at first wasn't going to glue the top part, but then it was too much of a, like, it was just annoying to play with it and like not have it being sturdy. And it also wasn't an issue to like store it with the top part, because that's what I thought, like when like moving around with it, it was gonna be like fragile and it could snap. But I just found a way to put all the terrain back into the like original box, and everything kind of fits like snugly together when you like figure out how to put one thing inside of another and so on. So there was no need to keep things separate. For the antenna though, I kept them separate, just because I don't know, I like to be able to change the profiles from vertical to horizontal of the antenna. I don't know if I don't know, it'll make more sense when you see the finished piece. So yeah, now I'm as you can see, I'm bringing back the darkness of the piece. Yeah, at first I was like double guessing myself, being like I should have just gone for the black primer, but then I thought no, it's better to have the clear undercoat first, so I know which parts have been primed. Otherwise, again, you get lost when the primer is the same color as the colors that you add later. It's just annoying for me. And yeah, here again some more airbrush work, but yeah, I wasn't too precise. I just went a little loose because once you get to the details, I went for the brush work, so you're just able to add definition at that step. But until then, you don't really have to be too precise. Yeah, here I'm thinking, man, I should have left those gas containers just with the rusty color. But hey, it's an exploration, I think. Also, so far my approach to most of my builds have been that one. Yeah, like you're exploring, you're trying things out. You do have like a general idea of how you want things to turn out. You have to choose your palette beforehand and your color scheme, and you're going for a certain aesthetic or certain level of weathering. But as you go, you try things out, things don't work, you make little changes here and there, and you know, you try to adapt. And for me, I found that really like amusing. You know what I mean? Like trying to solve this little puzzle of which colors to rearrange. And if one color didn't work, then you're also gonna have to change other colors to like adapt to that scheme or like a tonal shift. And I think at the end, I'm pretty pleased with this combination. Like the darkness, the rusty tones, the kind of like jade bluish hue of the lights, and also the kind of like hot orange. I think those let's say 3-4 main elements really work well together. Because I think when it comes to terrain, and especially like the Necromunda or like, you know, grimdark aesthetic, it's hard to come up with variations that make sense, that don't look too flashy or too plasticky. So I mean, this is my proposal. If you find it interesting, feel free to use it. I mean, it's colors, right? It's just colors. Here I have to add that I was trying out liquid mask. I haven't really used it a lot before, and it works like a charm. And it's super. I mean, like yeah, it's fun to peel it off. Like with your finger, you can tell. It's very tactile, and you can totally tell where the masking is. Like it has such a different texture to the plastic one, so you can just like trace it with your finger and decide where to peel it off and where to leave it. So that's I don't know, I feel like yes, like those little details of the process that make it kind of like an artsy or crafty thing. And here, yeah, I'm also kind of like shifting between adding grime and finishing the details. I saw on another video on YouTube, if you guys have been looking for a few of this, you might find it as well if you haven't already, in which another creator added like straps, like lines to the platform, and I thought that looked really nice, but I was a little bit not totally sure that it would work, or that I had the proper like masking tape for the effect to be crisp. So I just went with like following the kind of like original contour and like the already defined lines of the belt, and I think it worked nicely once again. Here I was again it's like a dance of I like it, and then you're like I think I messed it up, and then I like it again, you know. Yeah, with the orange, when I added like the second coat of the orange, I was like, now it's too flashy, I think I messed it up. But then the grime always saves the day. Like there's no a time when you add grime and you're like, I shouldn't have, you know. It's always like, you know, because especially you can like water it down once it's applied, right? Acrylic wash, not so much. Enamels and more oil washes, those are the cream of the crop. Those are I mean, you guys. No, I can't describe it. It's just nice that you're able to, like, no matter how much you apply, you can just always like add some mineral spirits and flush it away. And even if you do flush it away completely, there's like a slight like patina that remains that just feels so organic, like just kind of like dusty and earthy. Just pretty much like it's so hard to replicate with other mediums, right? With acrylic, like you never get that kind of like sepia shades, you know. You do get other effects, you know, like every material has its places where it shines, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to washes, oil washes, all day, every day. Here, yeah, I try to spice it up, or like, you know, maybe not spice it up, but like sparkle it up with some metallics, some golds, some bronze for the pipes, for the conduits, and I think yeah, I think that's you know, it became just more and more cohesive, and I try to keep you know, like the workload and the amount of attention to detail balanced, because sometimes you're working on certain things and you start questioning your sanity, and you're like, man, should I really paint like all the pipes? And sometimes it's worth it, and sometimes you start like saying, man, like I won't even notice this when it's on the tabletop, so why am I wasting 6 hours of my life going through all the fucking pipes, you know? Why what is the meaning of life, you know? But sometimes it's worth it. I think it's, you know, the places where they're visible and you say, okay, this is worth it, and this makes the piece, you know, stand out, and these details, you know, bring it together, and I'm gonna notice, and I know other people will notice, or they might not, but it's good enough if I know, you know, that balance. I think it's like up to like you to decide where you feel comfortable with the amount of work that you're gonna add to the piece, and how much love you want to give to it, and also where it's like it's enough, and you know, you've done your best, and just, you know, be happy with it. So hey guys, I don't know, sorry for my rambling. Sometimes I just don't know how to find the right words, but I hope you like this build. For me, it was like such a great time, and I was pretty pleased with the end result. And yeah, once again, this color scheme, I think it's here to stay, and if I add a little bit more terrain to the collection, I might feel tempted to use the same color scheme, just to keep like an overall look, and just have like a massive looking terrain combination of sets. I don't know, but we'll see. I might feel like bored and do something completely different. I think either way works, but whatever happens, I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll try to share it on a video as well. Thank you very much if you took the time to listen to my ramblings. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your time, especially because more than a tutorial, I try to share like overall commentary and a few personal impressions and experiences. That's what I feel sometimes I would like to hear from other content creators. So yeah, I'll leave you with the last beauty shots alongside the infamous crude kill team for Stalker Kimben, also known as the Teriyaki Gang. This was Tabletop Peros. I'll see you when I see you.